Hello, my name is Oscar, and this is day one of documenting my journey learning code through this website called Kattis. This will be the first day where I'm actually deep diving into this kind of routine that I will try to establish. I go to University of Agder, and I believe that the amount of coding I'm actually doing in the university is far too little compared to what I believe I should be doing. It's very heavy when it comes to understanding how the computer works, how the network works, how the operating system works, but it's not actually that coding heavy. So I believe that having a routine and doing at least one of these tasks every day will be a very nice and clean way to teach myself how to code. So yeah, I have already done a couple of these tasks before. This documentation will generally be just so that I can document my journey, and it's not necessarily for other people to watch. However, if people are watching and you have any tips on how I should learn how to code, how I should learn and become a good software developer, feel free to comment in the comment section. Okay, so we have this Ask Kattis task right here. Just gonna quickly read through this. Today, the high school programming contest of Iceland is hosted in Kattis, which reviews the solution from contestants upon their submission. Most of the process has been automated, but it wasn't always this way. Some years ago, judges walked from contestant to contestant to check whether the outputs from each team were correct. This was done by asking contestants to put a piece of paper on their monitor so the judges could see the contestant, though they had solved a task. This was done by asking contestants to put a piece of paper on their monitors so the judges could see the contestant, though they had solved. See the contestant thought they had solved the task. Okay, so when they think they've solved it, they put the piece of paper up. Okay. The judge then asks the contestant to start up the program and enter a specific input which a judge has carefully selected, and then the judge verified the correctness. The head judge in these days, Algrimur, requires your assistance with judging a particular task. Algrimur usually writes his own solutions for the task and then prints on a paper a few outputs for specific inputs, but Algrimur has been too busy to write his own solution. The task at hand involves drawing a square in the input using only the symbols of this dash and this. I don't actually remember the name of this input. Let me search this up. Yeah, let me just do this here. Name. No, simple. Oh my god. Is it really that hard to... What? Whatever. No, I don't really care that much. I can't believe it's that hard to fucking find out what this is named. The left and right side of the square should be drawn using the symbol of this, while the top and bottom sides of the should be drawn using the symbol dash. Corners should be drawn using the symbol plus, and the interior of the square should be made of spaces. Okay. Can you write a solution for Algrimur so he can print the output on paper? The input, the first and only line in the input contains a single integer n representing the interior side length of the square. Interior side length. So that means that you have the corners, and then the interior side lengths would be equal to the amount of dashes you have on top, right? Or the amount of the lines that you have on the sides. That's what I'm thinking that this means. Output a square of size n times n. Note that the number of spaces in the output must be exactly correct. If there are any spaces outside the square, then your solution will be considered incorrect. Group 1 points 20 constraints. What is this? So 0 would just be, yeah, no lines, because that's, again, the n represents the interior side lengths of each square. So here there are no interior side lengths, right? Because there's no dashes here. Like inside here, like you have only corners, and then there's no like actually length here, right? It's just another corner. Yeah, so this is basically what I envisioned, but I don't really understand what they mean here. So yeah, let's just get started. I do code in C. I'm fairly new to coding. I've tried to learn coding for the past, like, my first time learning C was for about 2 months ago. And it's been through like classes, and I haven't really been coding anything on the side by myself. So I'm really new to this. So don't expect too much if there's anyone watching out there. So let's just start by doing this. Return 0, right? That's just a simple main function. And the input should be an integer and representing the interior side lengths of the square. So first we got to define n, right? We defined n. Let's actually just initialize it to 0 first. And then we make a scanf, which will be an integer. And this will then represent the amount of sides, right? The side lengths. And after you have that, then we gotta make some sort of loop, right? So for, and then int e equals 0, I is less than or equal to n, right? And then you iterate that amount. So is there a way to like testing here? Because I see there's only a submit. I have done some of these tasks previously, like different problems. However, I used like Visual Studio Code for the actual testing because I didn't actually test it in the program, right? So I don't actually think it's possible, but I might be need to use Visual Studio Code later if it's needed. But yeah, right now it's iterating through, and it should print. So first of all, it should always print the corners, but it's gonna print line by line, right? So first, it should print of and then we need to make a variable we can probably make it here, char, and then this thing here, well, I don't know what it's called. Let me use ChatGPT and actually ask what it's called. Oops. ChatGPT, what is this symbol called? It's called vertical bar pipe. I'll call it pipe. That sounds more familiar. I think I've heard that name before. So pipe, char pipe equals, wait, how do I make a char again? Is it not like this? Or is it just like this? Is this how you make a char? I actually forget how to make a char. Let me think. How to make a char in C. So he uses single quote or single, but I think it's okay to use use it like this as well. So, and then let's make another char, which is the dash, right? And it will be like this. So it should be, so if I do print off that, or it will be is it C for string? I believe it is. And then yeah, dash like this. Oops. So now if I enter 3, it should iterate. Oh, now it's actually iterating 4 times. So we need to do it like this. So now it iterates 3 times, and then it prints out this dash 3 times. Let's do single like this, just to be safe, because I actually don't know if it's needed, because I'm thinking like when you if you have like 2 of these quotes, it will like confuse the 2 and think like there's first one char here and then one char here. So I think that might break the code. So let's do that. But the thing is, we're forgetting that we need the plus signs, right? So what we need to do as well is print out a plus first, right? So we need to print, and then we need to iterate the amount, and then we need to print again, and then we need to do the pipes after. So let's make another char. Char plus corner equals plus. Okay. And then print of and again, I think it's this thing here. C for character. And corner, right? So now it prints the corner, and then it iterates the amount of dashes, and then it should print the corner again. Print of C corner, right? And then it needs to do something else. I'm thinking of creating or making this a function, so you just can call it first once, and then when you get down twice, and then if we make a function for the pipes as well, then you can also call the function 4 times. So let's try to make a function. How should we make this function? And what should it return? Well, it shouldn't return anything, so it should just be void, right? Void, and then what should it call? It should call it roof maybe, or void dash void floor roof. Let's call it horizontal. And then we take we need an input, right? So the input should be, let's just use small n, and it should be int small n, right? Like this. This is correct, I think. Or is it maybe no? Maybe it's like this. I think it's like this. And then it should just be like this, right? So this should be inside like this. Is this correct? So right now I'm actually not sure if this is correct. I don't remember because I haven't made a lot of functions yet. I've recently learned about functions. And I'm not sure if this is the correct way of doing it, but and that's why I wish there was like a testing feature here. And since there isn't, I'm probably gonna try with Visual Studio Code once I've made something. So let's call for the function. This would be horizontal and then n, right? Like that. And hopefully that will do this for the, oh, I also need to declare the corner, right? How do I do that? How do I do that? I mean, I could just define this inside of the function, but I'm trying to think of a way to like get the string converted over to the function, right? I don't know how, so and I also think this is wrong. I think this is wrong, but whatever. Let's do this, and then let's do this here and here. This should now call for this function, and it should. Oh, fuck! I also need a dash, so I need to actually define that as well. How do I do that outside of the function? I don't know. And I don't even know. There's probably a lot of things wrong right now, but if this is correct, then this will take in the amounts that we have made, right? I'll just make this a bit cleaner. And then it should print a corner. It should then print a dash for the amount that's this made. So let's actually copy this into Visual Studio Code and let's test it in a new file. Let's make a new file here. What's this problem called again? Kassi, okay. Kassi.c. Why does it make it a C++ file? This is something that happened here as well, and I don't actually know why. Like, I think there's something weird. I think it's because whenever you have like, I don't know actually. Oops, I omitted that. Maybe it's because I have capital. No. Like, I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, we already see a problem, and it's undefined. Int and scanf, and this is in line 22 here. Yeah, but that's what, oh yeah, this should be n here. There we go. So let's see if this works. Yeah, this does not work. It didn't even compile. Implicit declaration of function horizontal. conflicting types or horizontal have void int. Void. Conflicting types have void integer. Does that mean I can't have this as an integer? Maybe if I remove this and just do that. No, that does not work. Is it because I need to have a semicolon maybe? No. Horizontal. How do I do this again? Conflict size horizontal. Previous implicit declaration of horizontal with type void int. What the fuck is this? What if this is link? What the fuck? Implicit, same as implicit int and implicit function. The warning is enabled by wall. Yeah, I don't even know what this site is, I'm not gonna lie. Like, is this wrong here, maybe? Okay, let's search up implicit declaration of function. An implicit warning in C programming indicates that a function is being called without prior declaration or definition visible to the compiler at that point in the code. Oh, I think I know. I need to, like, oh shit. I need to define it here, no? Void horizontal. That maybe? Did I do it wrong? There? Is that good? No? It's not good. Oh, it worked. 3. Oh my god, I did it. Okay, so I actually did it. So we needed to include int n, and now I know that this all works as well. But is there a way that I can like transfer these chars? I call them chars. I don't know if they should be called cars, but I'm calling them chars because they stand for character, right? So yeah, is there a way that I can like put them? Can I not define them in the globals with a global scope by putting them here? Does that not work? I think that works, right? And I do this as well. I do it with this one as well. Does that not work? Or am I tripping? I think that should work. If I do 4 and I got one, I think this is good. I think this is good. Okay. Let's copy this in for now. It's not here. Let's copy this in here. So now that we have a function for the horizontal row, then we need to make a function for the vertical, but the vertical is basically the same. Like it's still gonna print it out this way, right? So I'm trying to think here. Maybe I should make a function that like iterates 3 lines like this. I think I'm gonna do that. So let's call it void. It's a bit annoying the way that this works. Void vertical. And it all will also be the n, right? Let's make this a bit nicer there, so it's just easier to work with. And now we should for int I equals 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. So for the amount of of like the amount that we defined earlier, or we put in as the input, it should print the same thing over and over. So it should be just print of, and then it should be C and then dash, right? Dash. But it should be that 3 times, right? So can I like do, oh no, it should be actually space. So it should be it should be dash, and then it should be a space and a space and a space for the amount of times that we have it end. So I need to make another for loop here, I think. Or can I make a while loop maybe? While. So let's try to make another for loop here. J equals 0. J is less than. Yeah, because it's the same amount of blocks as the top length, right? Like if I've inputted 3, the top dash is 3 long, but the spaces under it should also be 3 long, so it should be the same. So it should be n, and then j plus. Why can't I do that? And then oops, I had to find the fucking keyboard for coding. I have this like 60% keyboard. It's not really good for coding. And then it should just print f, right? So print f and then space. But will this print space? That's the thing. I'm not sure if this will print space. Let's search up how to print a space in C. C printing a space can be to printf function, printf. Okay, so it's just that. Okay, so we were actually right there. So it prints the amount of times and goes back to this, and then it prints another dash, right? Print f and the same code. C and dash, right? Yeah, I also forgot this here. That's nice. Can do this a bit cleaner like that. And then it will do that 3 times. And then we should, okay, so I think we're actually good. We should initialize it first of all. So I don't even know if this is called initialize because it's not a variable. But whatever. Here. And then we will call the function vertical n, and then another horizontal n, right? Let's just try this in our head first. So first we define it, and then we say does this need to be like local scoped? I think we have to do that actually. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I think it's going to be cleaner to have it local scoped because we're only using it locally. So here we're first getting an input for that variable, and then we're calling the horizontal function that will call for this function, and it will print the amount of, like, it will print n dashes, right? But it will also include a corner here and a corner here. After that's happened n times, it calls the vertical function, which will iterate through the amount of, like, n amount of times, and it will print a Oh, this should not be dash. That's good that I saw. This should be pipe. And this should be pipe, right? Because it's printing at the pipe. And then it goes through the amount of times again to decide with the spaces. And then it creates another pipe. But a thing that I have not included is a new line. So it never actually goes down, I believe. It just keeps going to the right. So where should I include? I think I should include here. Here. And also here, right? And it said something here that note that the number of spaces in the output must be exactly correct, and if there are any spaces outside the square, then your solution will be considered incorrect. I think having this new line here, like, I don't think that acts as a space, because obviously it just shifts it down, right? But at the end, when it's printed out the whole box, then another new line will come at the end, right? The last line will have another new line, but I don't think that acts as a space. If it does, I'm gonna be very sad, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. And if it does, I can just manually put in a new line here, here, and here instead, right? Instead of putting it in the actual code. Yeah, I think this should be basically correct. Let's try to put this in. Yeah, I think this should be correct. Let's submit this code and let's hope for the best. Please, 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 please. I've never gotten one. Yeah, it's compiler. Of course, it's compiler. Oh, and it's a simple fucking mistake as well. There's somewhere I forgot a semicolon here. Okay, so please, 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 please. Absolute cinema. I think it actually worked. Okay, that's really cool. Wow, okay, so it did actually work. So that's actually really cool. I'm gonna copy this, put it in here, because I always save my code. It's actually, oops, I don't know what happened there. Did I copy the wrong thing? Yeah, I definitely copied the wrong thing. Control A did a little bit too much there. Let's do this instead. Nice, okay. And also this one is also in C++ for some reason. I think it's because there's an R too much there, yeah. Nice. That's really cool. This is cool. Let me see the output. It's just so satisfying. So if we do 5, it will, wow, that's beautiful. If we do 10, it will make a 10 by 10 box. Wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, fun little coding exercise there. Only took about 33 minutes according to my OBS. 33 minutes since I started recording at least. Let's try another problem. That's pretty easy. I'm only doing, obviously I'm doing pretty easy tasks because I'm very inexperienced. So these are the ones that I've done already, but I'm trying like around the 1.5 range. As you can see, I've only done like really so I don't even think I've done a 1.5 one yet. This was probably the hardest one I've done in the 1.4 range. Let's try ATM machine, this or maintenance is actually called. Okay. You are a maintenance worker for a large bank that recently bought new ATMs. All of them are working flawlessly except for the stubborn one on Main Street. It seems to have a limited amount of money left in the machine, but the system reporting this number is not working properly. Wait, am I misunderstanding what an ATM is? Isn't ATMs like the mini bank thingy that you like fucking get money from, or am I wrong? ATM. Yeah, this is what I thought it was. Okay, so I was correct. But the system reporting this number is not working properly. To find out for sure, you set some volunteers out to try and fix the problem by having them attempt to withdraw money from their account to see if it works. Initially, the ATM contains a total of K units of money, N people, numbered 1 through N. Okay. Want to withdraw money. The people come in, try to withdraw money one by one in order. Whenever someone tries to withdraw money, if the machine has at least the required amount of money, it will give out the required amount. Otherwise, it will throw an error and not give out anything. In that case, this person will return home directly without trying to do anything else. For each person, determine whether they will get the required amount of money or not. Okay. The first line of the input contains 2 space-separated integers n and k. The second line contains n space-separated integers A1, A2, and so forth, corresponding to the amount of money each person withdraws. So what does the K represent? The units. Okay, so the K is the amount of money that the machine has available. N is the amount of the people, and then the second line will be the amount of money that each person is trying to withdraw. Okay, I think I got it so far. The output's a single line containing a string with length n. For each person, the ith character of this string should be 1 if the ith person will successfully withdraw their money, or 0 otherwise. Wow, I've never done that before. This sounds something I've never, like a string containing. How would that work? I have no idea. Some sort of array, I assume. I have very little experience with arrays, so this will be a quite a big of a challenge for me. I have no idea how this will go. Okay, let's just start. Let's start with including the library. And we call for the main function. By the way, I don't know if there's any times where the main function has parameters. Is there? I can't really understand why a main function would have parameters, right? Because the main functions is always the first function that's being run, right? But whatever. Let's first define some variables. So n is the amount of persons. Let's just initialize them instantly to not make, because I've previously like not initialized them, and then it's just some random ass number gets outputted somewhere and it just breaks the whole shit. So n, so this would be number of people in line, and this would be amount of money available on the machine. By the way, I have like fucked up my fingers, so I'm typing a bit slow, but yeah, I'm getting better. At least now I can actually write with my index finger. Yesterday I couldn't, so it was way worse actually. And then we have the amount of people, right? But the amount of people needs to be an array, I believe. because each person has their own unique amount of money. So if we see here, then this will be the amount of money that the first person needs, right? 5 identifies how many people, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10 is the amount of money, right? So this guy has enough, this guy has enough, and then 3 plus 5 is 8, so this guy wouldn't have enough, that's why that's a 0. This guy would have enough, that's a 1, and then there's no more money, so this guy would not have enough, so that's 0. So some way or form I need to make a array, and I've never used, because this got to be like a, does this not have to be a string? Because how else will the output be 1, 1, 0, 1, 0? Let's try without string first, because I've never done this. So let's just try int and then a, and then it needs to be an array, so it's like this. And then let's actually put here a scanf instantly, which will be the integer of the number of people. And then let's use that to define how big the array is, right? Because the number of people is how many objects there's inside of that array. So this, how do I, it's just like this, no? I think this will work, right? And I think this is correct. Let's actually rename this for now, just to make it a bit more clear. ATM money. And this will be I guess just a, I can't think of anything better, so array of all the people, right? And their values. So now if I do, like, now they aren't initialized, right? So they don't have any values. Let's go through what we have to do. So the first line of inputs contain 2 space separated integers, n and k. So this has to be 2 inputs. Oops, I think this have to be like that. And this have to be like this. Then it have to be ATM money, like that. I think this is how it's done. And let's create a new line there. So now this integer will represent the amount of people, and the second integer will be the amount of money, which is the same as this, right? The second line contains n space separated integers corresponding to the amount of money each person withdraws. And that's the part that I've never really done before. Like, how do I even do that? I'm thinking of creating a loop again, because obviously it's you can only have as many inputs as many people as you've already defined, right? You define first 5 inputs, I just realized you guys can't see, but I guess it doesn't really matter because it's purely for myself. But yeah, you have 5 people, right? And then that's why you can have 5 different inputs afterwards, because you've defined that there's 5 amounts of like there's 5 people, right? So let's create a for loop for it's equals 0. E is equal less than people, right? And I plus plus. I would think about this. Then you need, every time you iterate, you need a new input. So that would be a scanf. Where's the there, and it will be a integer. And it should be stored inside the array, right? So this would be a, and then of index I, right? I think that's correct. So the first iteration will be for the first index, or the first element or object in the array. And then you say what integer is stored in that index, and then when you've stored that in that index, you iterate the new index of the array, so the object number 2 or element number 2, and then you store that one, and you go until you reach the amount of people that are defined, right? And it's less than because you start at 0. If you start at 1, it would be less than or equal. But I'm pretty sure this is good. So that would then store the amount of money for each person in the array. Oh, yeah. And output a single line containing a string with length n. For each person, the ith character of the string should be 1. If the ith person will successfully withdraw their money for or $0. That's the one part that I've never done before. So how do I do that? So it's got to be a string, but the string has numbers in it, and the numbers has to be like dynamic, or they have to be changed depending on obviously our inputs. How the fuck do I do this? Okay. I have no idea how to do this. So we got the array full of numbers, or full of values for each person. How do you even make a... Okay, let's start with searching up string in C. Because I don't really know how that works. So char my string, so this would be like a whole string. Because it says only, and then you only have one. It's like a string array, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This creates a pointer that points to a string literal stored in read-only memory. Modifying the string through this pointer can lead to undefined behavior. I think I understood like 50% of that. But yeah, let's start with just defining a string, right? So char, and then let's just say output. Then this needs to be. Oh, actually, I can use the output I had from here, right? So I can also use people here. People. And this will be string containing the output. I mean, how can I say that? The 1 or 0 string containing 1 or 0 per object or per person. So how does this work? So now that we got the numbers inside of the array here, we need to somehow put that into the output. So we need to calculate with the amount of money that we have. And that also needs to be defined. We haven't even we have defined that here. So that will give us the amount of money we have, right? So we need to calculate if a person in the index is either a 1 or a 0. So I think we have to use an if statement. If, and then output index I, and then so that means we actually got to make another loop here. We might be able to do that inside here. Let's try to do it instantly outside there. It's going to be a bit harder, but so if output I is less or equal to the sum, which is ATM money, right? So ATM money, then so if the output is less than equal to the amount of money on the machine, then we need to somehow change the string at that index. So how do you change a string in the index? Do I just literally say output I and then equals to 1? I think that works, and then I can just do else output I equals 0. I think, and maybe I need to do this at the end. Oh yeah, this might be correct actually, but I'm not sure. But obviously after this whole thing has went through, we need to print it out. How do you print out a string? It's just probably this, right? And output like that. I think that's correct. And then we gotta return 0 here. Oops. Yeah, let's read through this. Okay, so first in the input, the first line of the input contains two space-separated integers. So we define people, we send money, and we got the space-separated integers, right? Should we... I cannot have this. I think I have to remove that. But I think this should be good. Oops. I wonder if I can do this or it's just this. I'm gonna search it up. 2 inputs and scanf. num1, num2, printf, enter two integers. So there is a space. Okay, so I'm guessing we need a space there done. So char outputs. So then we define the string array. I don't even know if this is called a string array or it's just a string. I'm just going to call it a string. Which does have the amount of object as we put in the input. We also define an array, which is the amount, all the values of each person. And then we iterate through the amount of times that we defined or inputted, like the amount of people, that's the amount of iterations. And we ask every time there's an iteration, we ask for an input and push or have an if statement that checks if the this is wrong. I just realized this is wrong. So if this should be the A, right? So if the index in the array is less or equal to the ATM money, then the output, then you put the output equals to that to 1. Or if it is not this less than equal to. Let's just check if that's what we actually need to do though. For each person, the ith character of the string should be 1 or 0 otherwise. Yeah, so this should be correct. And then this will hopefully do I need to put people here? I'm not sure. Maybe I do. I guess I do, but I'm so... I really hope this... It will be so cool if this works, because I've never done anything like this before. So let's see. Should I just YOLO it and try? Let's try. Fuck it. If it doesn't work, I'll use Visual Studio Code. Try with the... Yeah, it doesn't even compile. Fuck me. Expected... What? Do I need that behind the for loop? Oh, I see now. Let's see the other ones. Error expected expert. Oh, that's also wrong. Format as expected argument of type char. Argument 2 has type int. This is an int? How is that an int? And the last, ignoring return value of scanf. Yeah, I have no clue what that even means. But I saw some mistakes there in that thingy. So first of all, this needs to be like that. Second of all, this is wrong. It should be like this, right? And then there was a mistake. Where is it? Here. That this is not a string. So let's search up how to print a string. Printf my string. Okay, you don't have that. Okay. Where is it? Here. So you just have output like that. Okay, I keep auto saving by accident. Let's try one more time. Fuck it. Please, please, please. I don't think it will work, but yeah. At least it compiled now. Your output. Wait, why did it only have ones? Okay, so I'm gonna put this in Visual Studio Code and run it a couple times to see how what is actually happening here. Let's do another one. Firstly, what's it called? ATM maintenance. ATM maintenance.c. So let's do that. Let's try to run it here. 5. Oh shit, that's not what I want to do. Doing 4 plus 5, and then that would mean that's 4 people. So 1, 3, 4, 1, 1, and now only the string that's outputted should be 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, and it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 6. I have no idea why it's 1, 1, 1, 6. Why the fuck is it 1, 1, 1, 1, 6? What? I really don't know on this one, actually. Okay, so firstly we set 4 and 5. So the string should have 4 objects and the array should have 4 objects. And it iterates and asks me for a number. Is there something wrong with the way I'm typing? Should I type 1, 3, 4, 1, 1 like beneath instead? Is it like not? Does it not work when I do it like this? Because I'm basically putting in all the inputs instantly, right? But I don't know how that works. Because when I type them and I press enter, then I'm guessing this loop goes like back and forth the amount of times needed automatically. But that doesn't make sense because then it would scanf again. But I guess the new scanf just takes the input of the one I typed before and then goes on again. Let's try another experiment. What? That's weird. Let's try 4, 5 again. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what the fuck is that symbol? 1, 2, 3 should be all. No, this should be 1, 1, 0, 0, but it's 1, 1, 1, and then this weird thingy here at the end. So again, I have no clue why this is happening. This is tough, man. How do I even go about fixing this? I have no clue. I'm tired, man. Tired of this stuff not working. I mean, it iterates correct, right? Because it iterates the amount of times that I'm inputting here. So I know that works. It's just like this if statement here doesn't work or something. Maybe I should make a different for loop just for that, you know? Or actually, instead, let's do a little check here. So let's do a printf, and then let's do this would be a char, right? And then it would be output of that element, so I, and then a semicolon. So let's try again. Let's try to run this code. Oh, didn't work. Sorry about that. 4, 5, 1, 2. What? What did it? Oh yeah, because I printed it, right? So if I do 4, 5, and I do 1, 2, 3. Wow, that's interesting. It doesn't. That is weird. The output thing doesn't get updated for some reason, and that's why it's 11111. I mean, then it at least makes sense why it's 1011 because, but I don't know why it's not updating. If A is less or equal to ATM money. Oh, wait. I know why now. It's because ATM money isn't updated. Wow, okay. So I gotta actually update the ATM money first. So ATM money needs to minus equal to the A I, right? But that has to be after this, no? Let me just think this through. Oops. Let me think this through here. So it scans, then uses the input, checks with the ATM money, outputs it, and then it updates it. I think that's the correct way to do it, no? Let's save, let's try again. 4, 5, 1, 2. It doesn't. 0? Oh wait, that's correct. That's correct. Oh wait, this is correct then. Oh, I think I actually fixed it. Wait, it's actually correct. I just thought wrong. Wait, so 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it has an asterisk at the end for some reason. I don't know where that comes from. I guess it's because there's undefined or something. 1, 2, 3. So these two should be ones and these should be zeros. But why is there an asterisk here? That's weird. But at least now it's working, right? Let's try 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And it works. But again, there's like this weird number afterwards. And I don't know why. I have no idea why on this one. Hmm. Like, whenever this happens, it's usually because something isn't defined, but I'm pretty sure I can't define this, right? Like, if I do this, yeah, it doesn't work, right? Or maybe I should do this, actually. Yeah, it's not allowed, right? Because of because you have when it compiles, it doesn't know the amount of people yet, right? Because that's an input. I think that's at least why you can't do that. That's at least what I thought. I don't even know how to search this up. Like, how would I search this up? Let's try to just have let's try to actually run this in the Kattis first, and let's just see like if it works, if it's allowed. But I think it shouldn't be allowed because of that last symbol. Yeah, it's not. So yeah, wait, it's not even correct. 11000. That's interesting. I thought at least that one should be correct. Okay, let's try to run it again, and let's do 5, and then let's do 15, and then we do 1 7 6 10 2, and run it. So 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 6 is 15. No, 14. Plus 10 is not allowed, plus 2 is not allowed. So this is correct again. Let's try to run it again. Let's do 6, and then let's do 18. Let's think about this, okay? So first, let's do a number that doesn't work, 20. And then we will do 5, and then we will do 13. Then we will do 4. So this should be 0, 1, 1. And then this should be 0. I said, let's do actually 1. Let's do 12 there. So we can do 1 here, and then 0 here. What? Okay, that is just completely wrong. So I think there's a bug where if one number doesn't go through, the rest doesn't go through. Let's try to find out why. So it's minus ATM. It's minus the value that is assigned at place, right? So if I assign it 4, wait, how does this even work? Okay, so here I assigned ATM money 18, right? So if the input for the array object is less or equal to 18, then it should output 1. And after that, 18 minus or equal to 18. Oh, now I get it. This one should only work if the number is like updated, right? Because like if a number isn't updated, then you're not actually taking away any values from the original array. You're only taking away values from the array when you're actually using the values, right? Because here we are using the values and deciding, yeah, this we have enough for this person. So the machine takes that amount of money and puts it into the person, and that means we got to remove that money from the array. But if the person goes away without having anything, then we shouldn't remove the amount of money, right? So here it should be correct. So let's do 6 and let's do 18 again. Let's do 20 and then let's do 13. Let's do 15. Let's do 1. And let's do 4. And then let's do 1 again. So this should be 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 0. Okay, so that's actually correct. And now we didn't get anything weird at the end for some reason. I have no clue why that happened earlier. Let's take this code and put it into Kattis, and hopefully this time it will be working. So here and then submit. Let's see if this is if this goes through. What? Wait, what? There's a space. Why is there a space, dude? Why is there a space? I mean, here I can't really check because you can do this anyway, but why is there a space outputted? Oh my fucking god, bro. Bro, what? Why is there space? It starts at index 0, which is correct. Maybe there's something about defining the string that like adds another index, because I know you need to add, because I think I read like a little bit earlier when we did the other problem, or maybe it was this problem, I read that it needed to contain something if you did it manually, like you needed to add a finishing syntax to like end the string. Maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not particular, is that a word? I'm not fully sure. So let's search up what happens when declaring a string. In C. In C, declaring a string typically involves creating a character array, as C does not have a built-in string data type like some other languages. The compiler allocates a contiguous block of memory to store the characters of the strings. That makes sense. The size of these blocks depend on how the string is declared or initialized. Really, that is weird. Or I don't actually know what they mean by initialized. Maybe it's not weird, actually. Character storage. Each character of the string is stored in a successive byte within the allocated memory block. So each character has 1 byte each, just like a normal character has. That makes sense. Crucially, the C compiler automatically appends a null character at the end of the string. This null terminator signals the end of the string and is essential for many C string functions like printf with a string of it to know where the string is. Example scenarios: declaring with string literal. In this case, the compiler automatically determines the size of the array, 6 bytes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the null terminator, and initializes it with the character and the null terminator. What does initialize mean? Initialization. See, I actually spelled that correctly, I think. That's crazy. Refers to the process of assigning an initial value to a variable at the time of the... Okay, I actually know what that means. The compiler automatically determines the size of the array and initializes it with the characters and the null terminator, declaring with a fixed size and initializing. 10 bytes are allocated. The characters buffer. Wait a minute here. Okay, so this is weird because we have a string with, if we type 6, it will be 6 bytes. But does it here automatically add another byte for the 0 null terminator? Or does it not do that and just replace one of the bytes with a null? And then when we come here, we remake that null to a integer, and then when we output, it becomes something weird. I don't know. So let's actually try to check this here, because it needs a null terminator, right? So if it's 6, then here should be +1, right? To make, because if we need to make space for the null terminator, right? So here we would have enough room for each iteration, but it's another byte in the actual output for the null terminator. So you go through until there's not more people, but again, there's still another byte in the actual output, and it will be included here. So let's see if this actually works. So let's do 3 and 6, and let's do 1, 2, 4, 5, 1. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's do 1, 5, 4. No, let's do 1, 6, 4. Okay, so we got this, but we still got some weird things here. Maybe I can just like, I think this is correct, and then if we go here, then we can set the output of wait a minute. When we I think I just realized something. When we set a number like 5, and then we put, this will become 5. Like, let's not think about this now. Like, this will become 5, but an array of 5, is that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? It is, right? It's not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Okay, I think it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here it should be 5, right? Equals to, and what's the 0th term letter? Was it this here? Or is this wrong? Expected an expression. Let's read this again. And the remaining bytes are typically filled with null characters. So if they're automatically filled with null characters, wouldn't that mean that I wouldn't even need to do this at the end? Because it's automatically done. And I made like a room for it, right? Am I thinking of this wrong? Oh, this is so confusing, man. So I already tried to run this, right? 3 and 5, 6, 2, and 3. I think I'm just making room for one more character. Like if I did this, it will only be one character. 3, 5, 6, 1, 4. No, there's still 2 characters here. How to initialize each object in a string in C. So an alternate array cross when you refer to an insert each object, you're like referring to initializing each character. Yeah, I meant each character. This is the most common and convenient way. The command adds the null terminator here. Okay, so this would be that. If you declare an uninitialized character array, you can copy a string literal or another string into it using string copy or the safer string copy. You can copy a string literal or another string into it using string copy. String copy. So you copy this into the string. But why would you do that though? Well, all nulls. This sets all characters in the array to the null term, effectively creating an empty string. Man, I'm so lost here. Because like I can't do that, right? Like I literally can't do that. See, I can't do that because it's not like people isn't a number whenever it's compiling. Maybe I need to like output here. I doubt this is correct. There's no way. Yeah, it's not like that wouldn't make any sense. I think I have to ask ChatGPT here. yeah, I don't really see how I can learn this any other way. I really try my best, but let me ask ChatGPT here. Let's do this. The program outputs the correct string of numbers 0 and 1. However, I'm getting weird symbols at the end. You're missing a null terminator. Yeah, so it is something about the null terminator. I already thought that. At the end of the output string, C strings must end with a null character to tell print where to stop printing. Yeah, that's what I thought. So now the random letters, I'm guessing, are just like random pieces of data in the memory. That is just reading off, right? Add one extra slot in output and terminate it after the loop. In output, I did that. Bro, I did that. So I did correct thing. So this is correct. Terminate string. What? Wouldn't setting the output equal to the null make every character inside be a null terminator? No, setting the whole array equal to is not valid in C. You can only assign a single element or use a loop or initializer to fill the array correctly. It's null terminator after writing. Only the last element becomes the null terminator. Wow. So what it's saying is that if I go here and I like say output and then of the people, I can set that to 0. And this should work. So let's try 4 and 19. Let's do 20, 13, 2, and 4, 5. So that's correct. And there are no weird symbols behind. The only problem now for me is that I don't really understand this. Like, I don't really understand it. So further clarify how the output set to null terminator at the end only sets the last char to null. When I define the array earlier, I set it to the amount of bytes that I have in the input person people plus 1. Why is it that when I set the null terminator later, I don't write output people plus 1. Good question. When you declare char output people's one, you allocate people's one bytes total index from 0 to people. First character, second extra slot. Wait, what? So what would happen if I didn't have that, son? There's no valid element at index people plus 1. That would be 1 past the end of the array, undefined behavior. Example with 3 people. So current 3 indexes 0, 1, 2, 3. Right. So if I didn't have plus 1 here, and it would be 4, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So 0 to... So if I inputted 4 and I add plus 1, it will be from 0 to 4. So that's correct. You fill output 0, 1, output 1, 0, output 2, 1, then terminate output 3. That, right? Because index 3 is the 4th byte, the 1 extra slot you reserved. So output people minus 1 last valid data character. What? Let's see if I understood. Let's try to understand this. If I set output people equals 0 at the end, then the people minus 1th index will be set to null terminator. For example, if people equals 5, then at the end when I declare the null terminator, the 4th char will be null. And that doesn't make sense, and I know that's not what it's told me earlier, but that's what I see when I see this without the plus 1, and that's why for me it makes sense to say plus 1 at the end as well. So this is what I don't understand, so let's ask it. Almost not quite. If people 5, then char output people plus 1 makes 6 slots total. Yeah? Valid index is 0.1 through 5. You will fill these 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, correct? And then the end you do output people 0, output 5 equals 0. Why is it output 5 though? Like, why is it output 5? Because here you're like how does that make sense? Like, where did this one go? And this is like output 6. So why is it output 5 now? Because people is only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 5th element would be this. So why would it be the 6 slots? Not the one at index 4. So your last valid data character is still output 4. And the string ends in okay, I need to see this visual summary. Index 0 equals to 1. First char, index 1 equals 0. Second char, index 2 equals 1. Third char equals 3. 0. Fourth char equals index 4. Fifth char equals 5. Terminate. That's why you reserve +1 space to store final terminate safely. But when you update the array, the +1 is removed. At that point, why isn't the array just 0, 2, 4 when the input is 5? Where does the 6th index come from if you only say output people and not, yeah, I'll just say that. The size of an array never changes once declared. The expression output people in the declaration tells the compiler to permanently allocate people +1 bytes of storage, 1 for each index 0 through people. Okay. That does make sense. That does make sense. So unless I want to allocate more memory to that string, it will always be 6 bytes. It's just a bit weird on the syntax side at the end there. So let's see if this clarifies it a bit. Declaration fixes the total memory size. So character output people +1. That fixes the memory size. If people 5, the compiler reserves 6 bytes, right? Makes sense. Lifetime, okay. The array named and size are separate concept later. When you write output people equals 1, you are not redefining or changing the arrays like allocated slots, but you're just changing the value inside of that slot, right? You're simply accessing index 5 of an already existing 6th element array. The +1 was handled by the compiler at declaration time. It's not an ongoing property that gets removed. Why you don't write output p +1? If you did, that would target index 6, which doesn't exist, and that would be undefined behavior, like it says here. Array size is fixed at declaration, gives valid index 0 to people. So why? So then my question is like, why would you say people then if it's already declared the amount? Like if it's fixed the amount of bytes inside of an array, right? So why do you even need to say people then? Like, why is it that people and 1 has different roles where you could just remove 1 but not remove people? So why is it that you don't, you can't just remove people as well inside the output at the end, like you did with the 1? I thought that memory was fixed. What is the difference between the 1 and the people? So I'm guessing it's something because it's a variable, but I don't really see how it should make a difference. Got no more water. Back. The difference is between a number used to define size at declaration time and an index used to access elements later. The difference is between a number used to define... What is this sentence? This difference is between a number used to define size at declaration time, between a number at declaration time and index used to access elements later. What? That did not make a lot of sense to me. I tried to make it make sense, but here people +1 is evaluated when the array is created. If people 5, the compiler creates 6 bytes. After this, the size of output is fixed to 6. At this point, you can't change how big output is. You can't remove the +1. It already determined the amount of memory. It makes sense. I understand this. When accessing, now people is just a variable holding the value 5. That means write to the element at index 5. That index exists because the array has size 6. If you instead wrote output 1 equals this, you would overwrite the second character, not the, okay. You need people to refer to the position after the last valid character. Output people means the slot right after all characters are filled. That's where you must put the terminator. If you remove it and you write output, that's invalid. Output is not a single variable, but the name of the entire array. You can't assign a value to an array as a whole. Okay, so I think that made sense. So essentially, the people here and the people here are two different things, because here the people variable initializes the amount of bytes that is inside of the array. So since if people were alone in that array there, and let's say we put it to 5, then it would allocate 5 bytes to the array with the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then at the end here, where we put people inside and we put 5, this will just point to whatever slot we're in, or whatever index we're at. So if we're at index 5, which is the case when we set it to 5, that means that whatever we set, like whatever we put behind this equal sign here, is copied into the 5th index inside of the array, which is already defined up here as having 6 bytes. So it would be in the 5th index, right? But the 5th index is the 6th slot, right? Because index 0 is the first slot, and index 5 is then the 6th slot. So now it does make sense. So let me put this into the code. So now it actually, everything made sense there to me. So let's resubmit this. And it should make sense that this is this should work. Yeah, it's accepted. Nice. Nice. Oh, all right. That was a lot of learning. I feel like I think this was a very nice session. Doing 2 of these problems definitely takes a toll. Like my head is working a lot in order to comprehend everything that I'm doing. And I think doing everything, I think I should have probably made, like I did with the problem before, different functions. Like I probably should have made a function doing whatever this is, just to like further organize whatever is happening, so it's easier to actually comprehend, right? But overall, I think this was a very nice way for me to learn about a string array, which I've never really used before. And a way to introduce the way that null terminators are always allocated whenever you define a string array, right? So that's really cool. So yeah, I think I've learned a lot today. I'm gonna try to do another session tomorrow. It's probably gonna be a lot shorter. Now I've been working for about 1 hour and 50 minutes straight with just coding. Tomorrow I will probably do around 1 hour and see how far I come after that 1 hour, because I have a lot more to do tomorrow. But yeah,